Tonight we're about to explore one of the greatest and most enduring paranormal mysteries of our planet. Are we being visited by beings from other worlds? 13 million people claim to have seen a UFO. If they exist, where do they come from? You know, at the height of the Cold War, just about the only thing that Reagan and Gorbachev could agree upon was that the Americans and the Soviets would unite if aliens ever invaded. They took the prospect very seriously. We caught up with former President Jimmy Carter to ask him about the day he saw a UFO. Like a lot of people, he's a little bit embarrassed to talk about it, but this is what he told us.
Well, I was gathered in a schoolyard with about 20 other men, and we saw a bright light appear in the distant western skies, and it got closer and closer, and when it was just above the treetops, it changed color, and then it stayed there for a while, and then it disappeared into the distance. And none of us could ever imagine what it was, and I still don't know what it was.
In '76, you said you'd try and release all information to the public and to scientists about other UFO sightings.
Yes.
Do you think you achieved that?
I'm not sure, but we did release a lot of the information, but I don't know how much was not released.
Interesting that. The President of the United States gave the order to tell all, but he can't say if the order was ever fully carried out. But what was it he and 20 other people saw?
Reports
to Jackie Mitten from the Royal Astronomical Society. Jackie, what do you make of ex-President Carter's claims that he saw a UFO?
Well, I've heard reports like this many times before, and in fact, I've seen it with my very own eyes. When a very bright star or a planet gets close to the horizon, the atmosphere and all the movements in the atmosphere cause the star or planet to joggle about and in fact flash all the colours of the rainbow. You really get the impression that things change in colour. You really get the impression that it's dancing about and changing brightness. I think that he saw a planet or a star. Okay, thank you. Or something like, is that what it's about?
Well, from the commercial point of view, I can understand how they feel. And in all honesty, if I was running an airline, I'd require my pilots to stay quiet about any phenomenal incident in the air.
Okay, I'd like you to look at some examples now. We've got some film here. We've gathered together various recent shots of UFOs. I wonder if you can tell us, Graham, does this look anything like the disc that you saw?
Now, this is just a light in the sky as far as I can tell. It's very difficult to make out what it is. This again, it needs clarification. I think it's an interesting picture, but doesn't look anything like the thing that I saw. Now, this one here is a light, and I would describe this as very similar to the nighttime sighting. In fact, we saw two radar confirmed performing very high-speed aerobatics.
We're going to see it closer now. Does that look like it?
This is very, very similar to the daylight sighting we had when we were within a quarter of a mile of something that looked just like that.
Tim Good, what do you make of that footage?
I thought the last one was quite impressive, taken in Mexico last year.
What was impressive about it?
The shape of the craft. Now, of course, that can be fabricated. We all know that. But just the way it looked, it's just an impression. I haven't studied the film, and sometimes the film is just as good as the photographer. So I would like, ideally, to have met the photographer and got to know more details about the film, how it was taken, what camcorder and everything. But I think it's a good film. The little strobe effect underneath was good. The others I was not so convinced by. The best one, to my mind, is the one taken in Gibraltar in 1989, of the ones we've seen tonight.
Which is the footage we're looking at right now. This one, though, particularly intrigues me. Obviously, the bright lights and aircraft, but look at that little thing darting around it. Obviously, these are impossible maneuvers for an aircraft. This was filmed outside a top-secret military base in Nevada. Is there a cover-up going on? Because that's got to be the obvious question.
Of course there's a cover-up. It's proven in the release of thousands of intelligence documents released under provisions of the Freedom of Information Act in the United States. For decades, agencies such as the CIA, FBI, Defense Intelligence Agency, National Security Agency, Army, Naval, Air Force Intelligence, State Department, and so forth, denied having any serious interest in UFO research until the Freedom of Information Act, and they were forced to reveal thousands of documents which prove that there has been a cover-up. Because, on their own admission, all those agencies admit freely that they are withholding many more documents, some at an above top secret level, in the interests of national security. So of course there's a cover-up. I mean, this started back in 1947, when we know from various documents that the findings by the United States government regarding flying saucers were classified higher than the hydrogen bomb.
Why would the governments cover this up?
There are many reasons for the cover-up, some of them entirely valid, and I support them. First of all, it's very embarrassing for the military to admit the existence of alien vehicles invading our airspace against whom we have inadequate defense. And some of these devices are dangerous. There have been incidents involving missing aircraft, people who have been seriously injured, major power blackouts. There's a major national security threat at risk here.
Tim Good, thank you. Airline pilots, farmers, housewives, the ex-president of the United States and millions of others all claim to have seen UFOs. Are they all mad or just honestly mistaken? Or is there something else that we should take rather seriously about this? Just before we finish, here's a quote. "Space travel is bunk." Now, when do you think that was said? 200 years ago, 100 years ago? Actually, it was said by the Astronomer Royal 1 week before the Russians launched their first dog into orbit. Thanks for watching tonight. Live long and prosper.